Go along. Um, Obviously, I'm not going to go through the whole aspect of straw bale building. I'm here to do a practical demonstration, but I can answer any questions that you want, and Ray here can also do that. So we've been building with straw for 20 years. There are 4 different ways of building with straw. And the original is the load-bearing method, where there is no framework because the straw itself takes the weight of the roof. We call that the load-bearing or the Nebraska method. And to be quite honest, that's the one we favour. It's the one we work mostly with self-builders because it's the most cost-effective, but it takes a long time. That's not necessarily what housing developers want. So the second method is a framework method, where you've essentially got a frame, usually timber, but it could be anything. Sometimes we've worked with steel as well. You've got a framework, and then you ideally wrap the straw around the outside of the framework. And the framework has all the engineering on it and takes the structural load, and the straw is just acting as insulation and a weatherproof barrier. Then we've got a hybrid, which is a mixture of those two, and to be honest, I think most of the designs we do are mixtures. So you might want all of the south wall of your house glass and timber, so that's a framework, and the rest of it can be done in load-bearing straw. So you're marrying the two together, which is just about getting the design right, but that's perfectly possible. We've done some really spectacular buildings like that. We are just completing on a big visitor centre near Bamber Bridge in Lancashire, which is all being built by volunteers, interestingly enough. And it's a rectangular building with a big curve on the front, and the curve houses a cafe. So the curve is all timber and glass, and the rest of it is load-bearing straw. And that's being opened at Easter, if any of you are up that way. It's going to be a really, really lovely building. So the fourth method is prefabrication. So this has been in the pipeline for some time, but it's only just now starting to really take hold. So there's a prefabricated panel here. This is obviously just a small representation of it, but these are factory made in Lithuania and by a company called ecoarchitecture, and we work with them. And we can build houses, housing estates, big commercial buildings with these, and these are the density is exactly the same on all the panels. The moisture content is exactly the same. They're fully certified to everything you can think of, and they reach Passive House standard without blinking. So they're an excellent product, whereas the other things we work with are not what we would call products. And there should be in your information pack that you were given details about these panels, and you can choose what finishes you put on them. So there's a range of different things. Generally they're clad in wood fibre board on the outside, and then you either do a thin coat of lime plaster on that or timber cladding. So you can do other options, but those are the most common. And then inside you would probably do clay plaster for the health and breathability of it. So 4 different ways of building with this material. And so from the very commercial end with the panels to the very low-tech end for self-builders and community groups, basically. So as architects, you'll need to be able to understand the differences between all of those. So what I'm going to show you today is how we work with the bale of straw if we're doing the first 3 methods. So if we're doing load bearing, if we're doing framework, or if we're doing a hybrid between the 2. Because all of those require us to work with this raw material, which is simply a bale of straw as it's come off the field. And I'm sure you've all seen this somewhere, mostly not in construction, but in the horsey market, where they use it for bedding for horses or mulching around carrots, that sort of thing. But did you know that in England, every year we produce 5 million tonnes of straw that we don't know what to do with? No, not many people know that. And so what we do is we plough it back in. Now the earth doesn't need that. We could just stop ploughing it back in, not change the agricultural policy at all, and we could build 650,000 houses with this material every year without changing much at all. Now that's something that could really make a difference. What we're hampered by is that this isn't a product. We aren't commercial businesses trying to make a massive profit for our shareholders. We're trying to encourage you as designers, as self-builders, to get behind this idea, to give it wings. But that's just an indication of what could possibly happen with this material. So the thing about straw is that it's a natural, flexible, breathable material. So building a house without a framework out of straw is probably the best thing you can do in an earthquake zone, for instance. It's all been fully tested in California for earthquake resistance with the companies that are working with refugees in Pakistan. And with straw, we're going back to traditional ways of designing before cement and rigid materials started to be used for construction. We're going back to the thinking about building physics that existed pre-1920. So all buildings before then were flexible buildings. So you've all seen the Leaning Tower of Pisa, yes? Which is, it's a big stone heavy building with a big lean on it. That is able to